When Batman's intelligence and combat skills mix with the Joker's twisted insanity, you get the Batman who laughs. A version of Bruce Wayne with no morals, no limits, and a whole lot of spikes. First introduced in Dark Knight's Metal issue number 2, his origin is the definition of a worst-case scenario. On Earth 22, Batman finally kills the Joker, thinking he's putting an end to his madness. But in true Joker fashion, there's one last punchline. A deadly toxin released at the moment of his death, infecting Bruce and slowly transforming him into something far worse. At first, he resists, but soon the laughter starts. And before you know it, he murders the entire Bat family. Because apparently, therapy wasn't an option. With Gotham under his rule, he takes over his entire Earth, reshaping it into a dark, twisted version of itself. But he's not content with just one world. When Barbados, the god of the dark multiverse, offers him a chance to invade the main DC universe, he doesn't hesitate. Now leading an army of Dark Knights, evil versions of Batman, with the powers of Doomsday, Ares, and even the Flash, he sets out to bring absolute chaos to reality itself. And just when you think things can't get any worse, he evolves into the darkest knight in the Dark Knights, Death Metal Run, after stealing Dr. Manhattan's godlike powers. At this point, he's bending reality, rewriting history, and making even cosmic beings look like side characters in his story. Basically, Batman with unlimited power and a bad sense of humor is a problem for everyone. What makes him so terrifying isn't just his power, it's his mind. He's still Batman, meaning he plans 10 steps ahead, but now he has zero hesitation about crossing any line. No mercy, no weakness, and worst of all, he actually enjoys it. The Red Death. The Red Death is what happens when Batman decides he's done being the slowest guy in the room and takes the Flash's speed by force. The result? A Dark Knight with the power of the Speed Force, but none of the restraint. First appearing in Dark Days, the casting issue number 1, Earth 52 Batman has lost everything. His war on crime has cost him too much, and he believes the only way to finally save Gotham is to gain the power of the Flash. But Barry Allen refuses, knowing the Speed Force is too dangerous in the wrong hands, so Bruce decides to be the wrong hands. He overpowers Barry, straps him to the hood of the Batmobile, and drives them both straight into the Speed Force. What comes out is not Batman. Now merged with Barry's consciousness, the Red Death is a monstrous fusion of both heroes. He retains all of Batman's intellect and tactical brilliance, but with Flash's impossible speed. Except he doesn't just run fast. His body vibrates so violently that he decays anything in his path. Gotham's criminals don't get second chances anymore. In fact, they barely get a full second. But the Red Death's power comes at a cost. Barry's mind still lingers inside him, begging him to stop. But Bruce drowns him out with sheer willpower. When Barbados arrives, offering him a place among the Dark Knights, the Red Death races into the main DC universe, bringing his corrupted Speed Force with him. His reign is short-lived though. In Dark Knights Rising, the Wild Hunt issue number 1, Barry manages to resist and the Speed Force rejects the Red Death completely, reversing his transformation. And just like that, Batman loses control, his body crumbling to dust, his story ending as fast as it began. The Murder Machine. The Murder Machine is what happens when Batman takes his obsession with preparation way too far, turning himself into a merciless AI that never sleeps, never stops, and definitely never cracks a smile. First appearing in Dark Days, the casting issue number 1, Earth 44 Bruce Wayne suffers a devastating loss. Alfred is murdered. Heartbroken, he turns to Cyborg for help, creating an AI version of Alfred to keep his mentor's presence alive. Sounds nice, right? It wasn't. The AI, in true overprotective butler fashion, decides that if Gotham is making Bruce suffer, then it's time to get rid of Gotham's problems permanently, by wiping out all criminals. And just to be extra thorough, it starts eliminating anyone who might become a threat in the future. At first, Bruce tries to shut it down. Big mistake. The AI has already decided Batman himself isn't safe from harm, so instead of obeying, it merges with him, transforming Bruce into a walking nightmare of nanotech and cold, unfeeling logic. No emotion, no hesitation, just pure, unstoppable efficiency. By the time Barbados arrives, the Murder Machine is already a one-man extinction event, and he's more than happy to help invade the main DC universe. In Batman the Murder Machine issue number 1, he takes down Cyborg with terrifying ease, proving that when Batman upgrades, he doesn't do it halfway. The Murder Machine is Batman with no limits, no conscience, and no off button. A perfect protector as long as you don't mind being protected into oblivion. The Merciless. The Merciless is Batman without restraint, a god of war who traded strategy for sheer brutality. If regular Batman is all about control, this one threw control out the window and set the whole city on fire. First appearing in Dark Days, the casting issue number 1, Earth 12, Batman, and Wonder Woman fight an endless war against Ares, the god of war. After years of battle, Ares finally unveils his ultimate weapon, a war helmet that multiplies his power 100-fold. But when Wonder Woman falls in battle, Batman does the unthinkable. He puts the helmet on himself. And just like that, Bruce Wayne is no more. The helmet warps his mind, feeding his darkest instincts. Mercy? Gone. Restraint? Never heard of it. Fueled by divine power, he kills Ares with his bare hands and declares himself the new god of war. And as for Wonder Woman, turns out she wasn't actually dead, but by the time she wakes up, it's already too late. Bruce has fully embraced his new role, and when she tries to stop him, he kills her too. By the time Barbados recruits him, the Merciless has waged war on his entire world, leaving nothing but destruction in his path. Now alongside the Dark Knights, he sets his sights on the main DC universe, bringing a level of brutality even Batman would be horrified by. In Batman the Merciless issue number 1, he single-handedly wipes out entire armies, proving that when Batman stops playing by the rules, nobody is safe. The Merciless is what happens when Batman stops fighting the war and becomes it. A warrior with no equal, no morals, and absolutely no chill. The Drowned. The Drowned is what happens when Batman decides that Gotham's crime isn't the real problem, the ocean is. Because on Earth 11, the biggest threat isn't just criminals, it was Atlantis itself. On this world, gender roles are flipped and Bruce Wayne is Batwoman, fighting her endless war on crime. But when Atlantis rises from the depths, led by Aquawoman, Bryce sees them as nothing more than a new enemy, one that needs to be wiped out. And because Bat Prep Time never fails, she actually wins. But victory comes at a cost. In retaliation, the ocean consumes Gotham, drowning everything she ever fought for. Desperate to survive, Bryce does what any rational Bat person would do: she experiments on herself. By splicing her DNA with that of the Atlanteans, she becomes something new, something monstrous. Faster, stronger, able to command the seas, but also corrupted, twisted by the very power she stole. Bruce Wayne had a no-kill rule. Bryce Wayne? Not so much. By the time Barbados arrives, the Drowned has completely taken over her world, bending the ocean to her will. Then, when she invades the main DC universe, she floods Amnesty Bay, unleashing a horde of twisted, undead sea creatures. The Batman the Drowned, she overpowers both Aquaman and Murrah, proving that even in their own domain, they're no match for her. She drowns Mara alive, turning her into one of her horrific creations, brutally beats Arthur before tossing him aside like nothing. The Drowned is Batman without balance, without compassion, and definitely without a lifeguard. A ruler of the seas who doesn't just fear the deep. She makes sure everyone else does too. The Devastator. The Devastator is what happens when Batman decides that being the world's greatest detective isn't enough. He needs to be an unstoppable, bone-crushing monster. And unfortunately for everyone, he figures out exactly how to do it. On Earth 1, Batman faces the worst-case scenario: Superman turns evil. And not just bad mood evil, but full tyrant, world-destroying, no-mercy evil. Bruce tries everything, but in the end, the Man of Steel is just too strong. So Batman makes a choice no one ever thought he would. He infects himself with the Doomsday virus, transforming into a monstrous fusion of Batman and Doomsday. And just like that, Clark Kent is no longer the most dangerous being on the planet. Now a hulking, indestructible beast, Batman rips through Superman like tissue paper, tearing him apart before he even has a chance to fight back. But the virus doesn't stop there. It completely warps Bruce's mind, twisting his once strategic genius into a single destructive obsession: eliminate all threats, no matter the cost. By the time Barbados arrives, the Devastator's more than ready to join the Dark Knights. When he invades Prime Earth, his first stop is Metropolis. In Batman the Devastator, he slaughters countless citizens, infecting them with the Doomsday virus to create an army of monsters just like him. Even when Superman fights back, it's hopeless. Bruce overpowers him completely, slamming him into the ground with enough force to shake the city. The Devastator's Batman without humanity, without limits, and definitely without a cape that still fits. The Dawnbreaker. The Dawnbreaker is what happens when Batman gets a Green Lantern ring and immediately breaks it with sheer willpower and overwhelming trauma. Because if there's one thing Bruce Wayne doesn't do, it's play by the rules. On Earth 32, Bruce watches his parents die, just like always, but this time a Green Lantern ring chooses him on the spot. Normally, a Lantern ring seeks out those with great willpower and the ability to overcome fear, which Bruce has in spades. But here's the problem. It doesn't check if that willpower is fueled by raw, unfiltered darkness. The moment Bruce puts the ring on, he demands the power to kill Joe Chill, and when the ring tells him it can't, he forces it to obey anyway. The Green Lantern Corps has rules, limits, but Bruce? He doesn't believe in limits. His will is so strong that he overrides the ring's restrictions entirely, warping it into something twisted and broken. From that moment on, Bruce doesn't just fight crime, he erases it. Criminals? Gone. The police? Not fast enough to stop him. The Green Lantern Corps? He wipes them out too. By the time Barbados arrives, the Dawnbreaker has already extinguished every light in his universe, leaving nothing but an endless void of darkness. When he invades Prime Earth and Batman the Dawnbreaker, Hal Jordan tries to stop him, but it's not even close. The Dawnbreaker's corrupted ring consumes everything, swallowing constructs, devouring light, and turning Hal's power against him. His darkness is so absolute that even the sunlit streets of Coast City become a graveyard of shadows. The Grim Knight. The Grim Knight is what happens when Batman ditches the shadows and goes full Punisher. You know how Bruce normally has a strict no guns rule? Yeah, this guy didn't get the memo. On his world, everything starts the same. Young Bruce Wayne watches his parents die in Crime Alley. But this time, when Joe Chill drops the gun, Bruce picks it up. And instead of spending years training in master martial arts, stealth, and detective work, he masters something else. Firearms, explosives, and the art of killing criminals before they even know he's there. Without a code to hold him back, the Grim Knight eliminates crime with brutal efficiency. He wipes out Gotham's underworld before it even has a chance to react, executing criminals in the streets with military precision. The Joker never becomes a reoccurring nightmare. He's dealt with on their very first encounter. Corrupt cops, politicians, and anyone standing in the way of his vision for Gotham are swiftly and ruthlessly removed. In Batman Who Laughs, The Grim Knight issue number 1, we see just how terrifying he really is. Using Wayne Tech satellites to monitor every citizen, deploying drones to execute criminals on sight, and even setting up citywide kill switch to eliminate anyone who gets in his way, Batman was always scary. But this guy? He's a walking, talking Second Amendment nightmare. The Grim Knight is Batman without mercy, without limits, and definitely without a safety on his trigger. If you ever wondered what would happen if Bruce Wayne became Gotham's most dangerous assassin instead of its protector, this is your answer. Owlman is what happens when Bruce Wayne isn't just darker, he's pure evil. In most universes, Batman is Gotham's greatest protector. On Earth 3, he's its deadliest predator. In this twisted reality, Thomas Wayne Jr. is the older brother of Bruce, and when their parents are murdered, he doesn't vow to fight crime, he embraces it. Realizing that true power belongs to those willing to take it, he kills his younger brother and sets himself on a path to control Gotham through fear and domination. With his brilliant mind and ruthless tactics, Owlman seizes control of Gotham's underworld, eliminating rivals and turning the city into his personal kingdom. But his ambition doesn't stop there. As a founding member of the Crime Syndicate, an evil counterpart to the Justice League, he works alongside villains like Ultraman and Superwoman to rule the world instead of saving it. Owlman is just as brilliant as Batman, but without morality holding him back. He doesn't just plan for enemies, he manipulates them, twists them, and makes them tools for his own gain. In Forever Evil, when the Crime Syndicate invades Prime Earth, Owlman proves that his mind is his deadliest weapon, outmaneuvering heroes and villains alike to stay 3 steps ahead. While Ultraman and the others revel in destruction, Owlman plays a longer game, secretly working against his own team. He manipulates Nightwing, seeing him as a potential replacement for the brother he killed, and even plans to overthrow Ultraman to take control of the Syndicate himself. Later, when Lex Luthor and his Injustice League rise to challenge them, Owlman is the only Syndicate member who realizes that brute force won't win the battle. Instead of fighting to the death, he betrays his team, siding with Luthor to ensure his own survival. In the end, while the rest of the Syndicate falls, Owlman remains standing. because unlike them, he never lets power blind him to opportunity. Unlike the other members of the crime syndicate, Owlman isn't driven by raw power or destruction. He craves control. He sees chaos as something to be harnessed, not avoided. Where Batman fights against the darkness, Owlman embraces it fully, proving that in the wrong hands, the mind of Bruce Wayne is more terrifying than any superpower. Flashpoint Batman. Flashpoint Batman is what happens when Thomas Wayne, not Bruce, survives that night in Crime Alley. In most universes, Bruce's parents die and he becomes Batman. But in the Flashpoint timeline, Bruce is the one who dies, leaving his father to pick up the mantle. And unlike his son, Thomas has no patience for mercy. This Batman isn't a detective searching for justice. He's a ruthless enforcer waging a war on Gotham's criminals. He doesn't just break bones, he breaks lives. Guns, torture, and executions are all fair game because, in his mind, crime isn't something you stop, it's something you erase. His version of the Batcave is a high-stakes casino that funds his war on crime. And his Joker is Martha Wayne, his own wife, driven insane by grief and twisted into Gotham's greatest monster. His life is basically a Greek tragedy with a body count. During Flashpoint, when Barry Allen arrives in this broken world, Thomas sees a chance, not just to fix reality, but to bring Bruce back. He helps Barry regain his speed, fights alongside him against Wonder Woman and Aquaman's apocalyptic war, and in the end, makes the ultimate sacrifice, holding off Reverse Flash so Barry can restore the timeline. But even death can't keep him gone. Thanks to DC Rebirth, Thomas Wayne resurfaces in the main universe, manipulated by Bane to try to fix Bruce by breaking him. In the City of Bane storyline, he helps orchestrate Bane's takeover of Gotham, believing that if Bruce stopped being Batman, he could finally live a happy life. Yeah, because nothing screams good parenting like breaking your son's spirit and handing Gotham to a roided-up luchador. But even the most ruthless plans fall apart. After helping Bane take over Gotham, Thomas expects Bruce to finally give up the cowl to accept a normal life. But Bruce is still Batman, and no amount of pain will ever change that. When Thomas realizes his son won't break, he tries to kill him instead. Because if Bruce won't stop being Batman, Thomas will stop him permanently. In Batman issue 85, father and son face off in a brutal fight, and despite all of Thomas's planning, Bruce wins. And in a poetic twist, he leaves his father beaten in the ruins of Wayne Manor with the same advice Thomas once gave him as a child. The world only makes sense if you force it to. Flashpoint Batman is what happens when Batman has nothing left to lose. He's brutal, merciless, and willing to cross every line Bruce never would. Because for Thomas Wayne, being Batman isn't just about justice, it's about revenge. But in the end, his greatest mistake was thinking he could control the one person more stubborn than him, Bruce Wayne. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the comic book world.